On early 2020, the world changed forever. COVID-19 created a global pandemic that not only took us all by surprise, but it also placed us in an indefinite lockdown. What started as days became weeks, and then months, and then in some cases even years of lockdown and social distancing. Now, I remember being in Florida during this time where the terms lockdown and social distancing were mere suggestions, but that's besides the point. And I remember being bored to death. The gyms were closed, so you couldn't work out. Most of my friends were away. It's just like life itself reached this indefinite halt. The interesting thing is that around this time, I remember thinking that the conditions of the world, due to lockdowns and such, it would be perfect for artists to fully devote to creating art and probably making very memorable and creative art, whether it was due to the influence of what was happening in the world or just the amount of free time that everyone had during the lockdown. And I think a great example of this, on at least in the music side of things, was Charli XCX's album How I'm Feeling Now, which is an album that she recorded at home during the lockdown in UK. There's even a documentary about it. The thing is that with film, it's different. Producing a movie under such scrutiny and the circumstances around that time is way more difficult than recording an album. And 5 years after the pandemic, I think this documentary is probably the best example that I've watched of a COVID film. A little bit of background. Grand Theft Auto is an open world game created by Rockstar. They've had several iterations from the first game in 1997 all the way to its latest entry, GTA 5, released in 2013. On this game, you can do basically whatever you want. So you do have a story that you can complete, but players are allowed to freely roam around the city where they can indulge in all kinds of activities. They can shoot and kill people, they can go to strip clubs, they can get high, they can get drunk, they can steal cars, hence the name of the game, Grand Theft Auto, you name it. On 2008, Rockstar released GTA 4, which was the first game to include an online mode. You were placed on the map alongside 31 other players from anywhere around the world, really, and you can all coexist in this beautiful and huge city, virtual city. You are basically allowed to do anything that you want on this game, and that's why it is the perfect medium for a COVID film. What is Grand Theft Hamlet about? It's January of 2021 and UK is still on lockdown. We meet two English actors, Sam and Mark, who are unemployed due to lockdown regulations. And as they're wandering around the city, they stumble across an empty theater on the outskirts of the actual city. And this is when they have a revelation. Since they cannot act in real life, what about adapting a Shakespeare play in GTA Online? So they reached out to Pinny, who is Sam's partner, a documentary filmmaker, so that she joins this online world and that she basically records the whole thing from a third-person perspective. And so from this point onwards, our leads begin performing online auditions where they have virtual gamers reenact scenes of Hamlet and basically join their project. And although initially they struggle with time, these gamers begin appearing more and more. Some of them become recurring characters, and then the project is set fully in motion. Now, my thoughts. The experience itself of the documentary can be broken down into 3 segments. 50% of the screen time is devoted to planning, which includes finding the right actors, have them perform lines, just wandering around the map looking for the best spots to perform certain scenes. About 35% is spent on rehearsing the play, and then the other 15% is them actually performing the play. And we hear the actors recite the lines as we see this beautiful montage of different views from around the map. But I would say that the other 85% of the screen time is not particularly interesting, although it does have its funny moments, especially when they reach out to random people. They propose the idea of adapting a Shakespeare play in GTA Online. These people are initially interested in being part of the project, and then once they see our leads recite the lines of Shakespeare's play, they just disconnect from the server. And then other elements that stood out to me include the music score, which elevates the material from its initial DIY feel to a more professional feel. And then there are scenes where they showcase this creativity that's honestly endearing. Two elements that I would point out would be Pinny, the documentary filmmaker that's recording everything. She uses first-person camera to give the feel that she actually has a camera on the video game and you are seeing what her character is seeing directly from her eyes. Also, the use of flashlights. The gamers, they use flashlights to improve visibility. I would say there are two things that prevented me from enjoying this documentary as much as other critics did. First, I am all in for creating a film or a documentary in Grand Theft Auto. I think that's a brilliant idea from the get-go. However, using GTA Online to adapt Hamlet is just something that I'm not particularly crazy about. Hearing the characters recite Shakespeare over and over again is just not my cup of tea. I have previously watched adaptations of Shakespeare, most notably Joel Coen's The Tragedy of Lady Macbeth, whose beautiful cinematography could not save it from the simple fact that I just do not enjoy watching people recite Shakespeare word by word. My second and final complaint is a little bit more tricky. There's certain scenes, conversations, or monologues that are supposed to feel genuine, but I couldn't help but feel like they were scripted. For example, there is one scene in which one of the main characters, he begins opening up about how lonely he is during the pandemic and that he has a family member who just died. I get it that they want to present these scenes as them capturing lightning in a bottle, or so to speak. Then you also have other scenes where Sam and Pinny, the documentary filmmaker, they have couple arguments. There's one particular scene where she tells him that he's becoming obsessed with the project, and I just didn't buy it because initially they were all on board with the project and they were all very motivated. Even though it creates good drama, I couldn't help but feel like these scenes, they were not genuine and they were scripted. I mean, overall, I enjoyed the idea. Making a documentary in the world of GTA is a very good idea, and the fact that it was done during the COVID lockdown, it makes it all even better. I enjoyed the music that's used. Some of the techniques, virtual techniques that they employ, I thought they were creative. And there were moments where, the editing was very good. Those montage where they would show beautiful sunsets or sunrise as they are reciting. I thought these moments worked very well. But then you have the fact that most of the documentary is just them wandering around the map, reciting Shakespeare over and over again, approaching random people, asking them if they want to be part of this project. And then couple these with moments that were supposed to feel genuine, but I didn't buy them. I felt like they were scripted or at the very least discussed before they actually happened. And that kind of brings this documentary down for me a little bit. And if I had to give it a score, and I would feel guilty for giving the score given the fact that they probably made this documentary with a budget of £0, I guess I would probably give it around a 6 out of 10. What I do think is that after this documentary, we will see more films and documentaries done with this style, and I see a lot of potential here. I think it will be exciting if an artistic movement comes out from the ideas that are presented on this documentary. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you've watched Grand Theft Hamlet, please let me know what you thought of it. Like and subscribe and all of that jazz. And I will see you guys very soon.